I am not aware of any other factor in medicine, not diet, not smoking, not exercise, not stress, not genetics, not drugs, not surgery, that has a greater impact on our quality of life, incidence of illness, and premature death from all causes than love and intimacy. Dr. Dean Ornish. The first harmonic hurdle we're going to tackle is the critical importance of having a romantic partner you can confide in and belong to a close-knit group of friends. Let's delve into the science of why these connections are so vital from every stage of life. We've all heard about the tragic Romanian orphanage studies that unfortunately reveal the stark reality. Even when babies receive adequate nutrition, warmth, shelter, and clothing, they still died at alarming rates because they were deprived of human loving connection. Those who survived suffered from lifelong consequences, including lower IQ scores, emotional problems, and social difficulties. Their brains showed less development in crucial emotional and cognitive areas, hindering their ability to form meaningful relationships throughout their lives. These heartbreaking findings underscore a fundamental truth. We need more human interaction to thrive. We need connection. The father of social epidemiology. UC Berkeley professor Leonard Syme, a pioneer in social epidemiology, correlated the impact of social connections on health and longevity. You have heard that it is said that as soon as an immigrant comes to America and adopts the standard American diet, this inevitably leads to poorer health. However, he discovered that the data pointed to the quality of one's closest relationship was the primary determinant of health and disease, regardless of diet or exercise. This wasn't just true for immigrants. He replicated these studies around the world and found the same thing. Having a close relationship was the most important factor. One of Professor Syme's most impactful studies is in Alameda County, where he and his team followed over 9,000 people. They discovered something amazing. Having close friends and an intimate partner was the best predictor, not just of overall health, but how quickly people recovered from illness, how much wealth they accumulated over their lifetime, and even how well their children turned out. These relationships had a ripple effect, influencing every aspect of a person's life. In another pivotal study, Lisa Berkman, then at Yale University, followed nearly 7,000 adults for 9 years. Astonishingly, the results showed that men with fewer social ties were twice as likely to die, and women were 3 times more likely. And this was regardless of whether they smoked, drank alcohol, were obese, or exercised. Women are right to prioritize relationships. Their lives depend on it in a very real way. Social connection trumped all those traditional health factors. The Office of the U.S. Surgeon General recognized the growing epidemic of loneliness and has issued an advisory emphasizing its detrimental effects. They found that lacking these vital connections increases risk of stroke by 32%, the risk of dementia by 50%, and the risk of dying early by 29%. These are terrifying figures. In countries where nationalized healthcare systems like the UK and Canada, the economic burden of loneliness is glaringly obvious. The loneliest 5% of the population has a staggering 1,900% more health problems, and they consume half of the entire country's health expenditures. To put that in perspective, a healthy person may cost the state $500 a year, but a lonely person costs $100,000 a year. This isn't just a personal problem, it's a societal one. It's so significant that these nations have appointed ministers for loneliness to address the issue, not just for humanitarian reasons, but for the sake of their economies. Decades ago, astute cardiologists began noticing a disturbing trend. Unmarried patients, particularly those lacking a confidant, had the lowest survival rates. This observation led to the understanding that loneliness can be more detrimental to health than smoking 15 cigarettes a day or being obese. Dr. Steve Cole, a leading researcher in social genomics, has shown that loneliness actually changes how our immune system cells behave. It ramps up inflammation in the body, which acts like fertilizer for all diseases. It accelerates plaque buildup in the arteries, it helps cancer cells grow and spread, and even promotes inflammation in the brain, which can lead to Alzheimer's disease. Dr. Redford Williams, a renowned cardiologist, spent years researching the link between social connections and heart health. His findings were striking. Unmarried individuals without a confidant had a 300% increase in the risk of death within 5 years compared to those who were married and had a close friend. He realized that it wasn't just about being married, it was about having someone that you can truly confide in, someone who had your back. Communicative fitness, emphasizing that it's just as important as physical fitness. Loneliness and social isolation don't just affect our mental, physical, and emotional health. They have a ripple effect that touches every aspect of our well-being. Take heart health, for example. People who are socially connected have much better cardiovascular health and are far less likely to develop heart disease. In fact, studies show that they have a 50% lower risk compared to those who are isolated. And it's not just about preventing disease. Social connections actually help us live longer. Research shows that people with strong social ties have a 50% lower risk of dying prematurely. But it goes deeper than that. Social connection actually strengthens our immune system, makes us more resilient to illness, helping us recover faster from injuries or surgeries. Social support can even improve how our bodies process sugar, which lowers the risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Social connections are crucial for reducing stress and protect us from mental health disorders like depression and anxiety. Even our brains benefit from social interaction. Studies have shown that people who engage in social activities and maintain strong relationships are less likely to develop Alzheimer's disease and all other forms of dementia. And for those battling cancer, social support can be a lifeline. Cancer patients with strong social networks are shown to have better survival rates, experience less pain and fewer side effects from treatments, and are more likely to stick to treatment plans. Social connection even affects how well we sleep. People with strong social ties tend to sleep better and have fewer sleep disturbances, while loneliness increases the risk of insomnia. Social support can even increase our pain tolerance and help us recover faster from injuries, surgeries, thanks to the release of endorphins, our body's natural painkillers. The concept of blue zones has captivated the world's attention, highlighting regions where people live extraordinarily long lives. While some claims about these zones have been challenged, one blue zone in America stands out: Roseto, Pennsylvania. In the 1960s, medical researchers Stuart Wolf and John Brune were intrigued by Roseto's unique health profile. Despite a diet rich in saturated fats and high smoking rates, the residents had remarkably low rates of heart disease, half that of neighboring towns with similar backgrounds. Their heart attack rate was almost zero, which also didn't make sense. The secret wasn't just diet or exercise. It was the community's tightly woven social fabric. Multi-generational households, strong social bonds, and frequent interactions fostered a powerful sense of mutual support. However, as these community ties weakened, the heart disease rates rose to match those of neighboring towns. This phenomenon underscores the profound impact of social cohesion on health. Research has shown that each standard deviation increase in perceived neighborhood cohesion, the risk of heart attack and stroke decreases by 22% and 15% respectively. Living in a supportive community boosts the chances of good health by 27%. Furthermore, connected communities foster economic opportunities. People in such communities are 4 times more likely to find meaningful employment than through traditional job centers. Robert Sampson, a leading expert on policy and public safety, emphasizes that, quote, stronger neighborhoods have significantly less crime. It's a harmonic principle. Feeling safe and connected within a community contributes to a safer environment for all. The impact of social isolation on mortality is striking. In a 9-year study, isolated individuals were 200 to 300% more likely to die from all causes, including cancer, heart disease, and respiratory problems. Even our susceptibility to illness is influenced by social connection. In a study where participants were deliberately exposed to the cold virus, those with strong social ties were 300% less likely to catch a cold. Animal studies reinforce this principle. When lab rats were raised in isolation, they developed 8,400% more breast cancer tumors than those that were raised in groups. Mice are not people, but the evidence is clear. A strong, supportive community is vital to our physical and mental well-being. It's not just about living in close proximity. It's about actively engaging, believing in, and contributing to a shared sense of belonging. And let's not forget, pets can be a part of our social life. Dr. Aaron Katchner was among the first to demonstrate the incredible impacts pets could have on heart health, specifically how they help patients recover from heart attacks. They weren't really expecting something as simple as having a pet could make a real difference in how long people lived, but the data was undeniable. When they followed a large group of heart patients after they'd left the coronary care unit, they found that those who had pets were significantly more likely to be alive a year later than those who didn't. And this wasn't just a fluke. Even after accounting for all other factors that could affect survival, like age, health conditions, and lifestyle habits, the results held true. It seems that pets have this amazing ability to alleviate the sense of isolation and loneliness that often plagues heart patients. And that connection, that companionship, was powerful medicine in and of itself. But the benefits of pet ownership are far beyond heart health. Studies have shown that interacting with pets can lower blood pressure and heart rate, can reduce stress hormones like cortisol, and increase levels of oxytocin, the love hormone. Pets can also encourage physical activity and provide a sense of purpose and routine, and often a constant source of comfort and unconditional love. For people struggling with loneliness, pets can be a lifeline. They offer companionship without judgment, providing a sense of security and help others feel less alone. And in a world where social isolation is becoming increasingly prevalent, the role of pets in our lives have never been more important. So if you're feeling lonely, consider welcoming a furry friend into your life. It just might be the best prescription for your health and happiness. Dr. Fauci and his colleagues at the University of California Medical School made a remarkable discovery while studying patients with malignant melanoma. They divided the patients into 2 groups, both receiving the same medical treatments. However, one group also participated in a 6-week group therapy program. 5 years later, the results were astonishing. 3 times as many individuals had died in the group that didn't have those 6 weeks of group therapy. Just 6 weeks of connecting with others made a significant difference in their survival rates down the line. Dr. David Spiegel's research, published in The Lancet, further reinforces the power of group support. He initially set out to prove that psychosocial support wouldn't be a significant impact in breast cancer survival rates, but the results shocked him. Women with breast cancer who participated in weekly group therapy for a year after surgery lived twice as long as those who didn't have this therapeutic experience. Now here is the key takeaway. It wasn't the therapy itself that was the magic bullet. It was the sense of community, the camaraderie, the friendships, the connections that made the real difference. These women could have joined a knitting group or book club and likely received similar benefits. It's the human connection that matters most. However, there's a caveat. Be mindful of the type of group you join. Groups that focus solely on the problem can actually exacerbate that problem. We'll delve deeper into that one in the Harmonic hurdle of philosophy later. In the intro, we said that trauma is a part of every single health hurdle. It's heartbreaking how many people carry the weight of trauma and addiction. We'll explore these challenges later in depth, but first let's shed light on the science behind them. Now, in the traditional medical model, while excellent at patching us up after a physical injury, they can be surprisingly ineffective when it comes to common illnesses. We know that the traditional medical model is downright dangerous when it comes to dealing with chronic diseases. But when it comes to psychological issues like childhood trauma and the accompanying addictions, it's not only expensive but woefully inadequate and even potentially harmful. Again, we want to emphasize this isn't a criticism of the dedicated individuals working within the system. It's the model itself that needs rethinking. Thankfully, there are many forward-thinking practitioners out there who are achieving remarkable results by approaching trauma in a completely different way. And you might be thinking, well, that's nice of those that can afford a world-famous therapist, but that's not going to happen. Fear not, because here's the good news. Science says that you may not necessarily need a therapist to heal from trauma. As Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry explain in their book, What Happened to You, quote, "What we're learning is that having access to a number of invested, caring people is actually a better predictor of good outcomes following trauma than having access to a therapist. Having a therapeutic web, a network of supportive relationships that surrounds you throughout your day, can be better than a therapist. Cheaper too. Now, a therapist can certainly be a valuable part of this web, but they're only one strand of many. In fact, therapy without genuine connection may not be effective at all. You need friends." This idea is confirmed by a recent Harvard study that looked at all the social factors contributing to depression. They found the most powerful predictions of mental well-being were social connection. The study concluded that, quote, "The protective effects of social connection were present for even individuals who were at higher risk for depression as a result of genetic vulnerability or early life trauma." In other words, having strong relationships can act as a buffer against the negative impacts of trauma, even for those who are more susceptible to mental health challenges. And for children and youth who have experienced trauma, their current level of connectedness is the best predictor of their mental health, even more so than the adversity they faced. This highlights the incredible power of human connection in healing and recovery. It's not about having someone to talk to. It's about feeling seen, heard, and understood. And it's about knowing that you're not alone and that there are people who care about you and want to support you on your journey. And that, my friends, can make all the difference in the world. All right, I know, I might have bombarded you with too much scientific evidence and research findings, but I hope you understand why. If you care about your health at all, and you don't think developing a deep, meaningful relationship should be your top priority, you're missing out on the most potent medicines available. It's not that loneliness is inherently bad, it's that relationship and connections are profoundly healing and beneficial. To recap all that data, stronger relationships can double your health span, make you healthier, happier, and wealthier, help you recover faster from illness, reduce your risk of all sorts of diseases, slow down the aging process, and protect you from the consequences of a poor diet and lack of exercise. The list goes on. My heart aches when I see people struggling to improve their health while neglecting their social connections. They invest time and energy in medical interventions that may or may not be effective without the foundation of strong relationships. It's like trying to build a house on sand. It simply won't stand. There is nothing more enriching and fulfilling than having a supportive, exciting, sensual relationship. It's a fundamental reason why we're here, to connect with others on a deep and meaningful level. I understand the hesitation to harmonically put yourself out there. Without the right guidance, the search for love can be frustrating, disheartening, and even painful. But when you align yourself with your desires, when you're harmonizing with your dreams, the universe conspires to support you, making your journey shorter, faster, or more fulfilling than ever imagined. This isn't just about harmonizing with a romantic partner. It's about cultivating a small network of close friends, a community that lifts you and celebrates you in your journey. I just get so frustrated when people's practitioners are recommending a series of expensive IV bags or supplements when all the science says that without a relationship, it's not going to do anything. And I understand that Western and alternative and functional practitioners don't understand the importance of this solution. And worse yet, they don't have a clue to fix it. I do. and I'm going to help you step by step harmonize with the community and relationships of your dreams. Being in love is incredibly good for you. When people fall in love, often things that have been bothering them for ages suddenly improve. Why? Because their focus shifts towards something wonderful, elevating what they're in harmony with and allowing their desires to manifest more easily. So open your heart to the possibility of profound connection. Embrace the power of love and community to transform your health and your life. Quote, "The accumulated evidence shows that good social relationships have a greater effect on extending length of life than do such measures such as giving up smoking or drinking alcohol, maintaining a healthy diet, taking regular exercise, weight loss, or the treatment of high blood pressure." Quote, "A rich network of face-to-face relationships creates a biological force field against disease." I could go on. Do you see why I call this a hurdle? If you want to be healthy, you have to clear this. All of the science confirms how foolish it is to try and heal any problem if you haven't dealt with this. While the evidence concludes and confirms with every single study that loneliness is a killer, far more insidious than anyone realizes, it's really that the relationships are so life-giving. Cultivating meaningful connections can be a powerful antidote. Everyone wants more connection. It's hardwired in us for good reason. We love interacting with other people. We love game night. We love breaking bread with others. We love physical touch. We love helping others. It takes effort, but everything is stacked towards our success. Start prioritizing social connections. Make an effort each day. Volunteer at least 1 to 2 hours a week. Everyone is uplifted. People simply keep us healthy and heal us in ways that the entire medical system cannot. In the third hurdle, philosophy, we go over how to best get in harmony with the best people. But up next is the hurdle of purpose.